This is Movie of the Year 1984. My name is Ryan. I will be your host, and we are completing the action figure draft. Me and three of my most mature, most bestest friends have drug our toy chests out, and we are drafting the figures that will win a battle for our pride, ego, and, again, $2,500. Not that much money. That's what we have on the line.
Just think of how many scratchers that could buy.
Greg, you are here, and I want you to look at what we've done before. This is how we're going to do the recap of last week. Okay. And what is the pick that you wish you had done? What's the one pick that you're most jealous of?
Okay, you might find this gratifying, Ryan, but I thought Paul Atreides' Druid was like after you said it, I was like, oh wow, obviously. But before you said it, I had not thought of that. That was it showed that you know more about D&D than I do. It showed that you know more about Dune than I do, and I had no choice but to just take it with grace, because what else can I do?
The two things that you brag about knowing the most about.
That's true.
And I just stepped on your shit.
That's true. I mean, Ryan, I have read the books associated with Dune. Not all of them, but several of them. I've read several of the books associated with D&D. And yet, basically, you showed that you are a super fan of both of those things, and that I don't even understand them in the least. Which Dune I kind of knew, because it doesn't matter. The more you know about Dune, the less you understand it. But the D&D thing is rough.
When it comes to Dune or D&D, I treat them like a fainting lady about to pass out and in need of a fainting couch. Like, I just don't care. And you just got your whole ass shown to you. Taylor, what is the one pick from last week that like makes you go like, I should have done that?
I mean, I'm not going to immediately repeat what Greg said about the Paul pick, but yeah, it is a really good one. I am going to say, actually, that Atreyu for Ranger, Greg's pick, was really good. Like, I didn't even, for whatever reason, Neverending Story didn't even, like, come up as, like, an option for me. Like, it didn't even, none of my picks were from that. But as soon as he said Atreyu, I was like, yeah, that's, like prototypical. That's such a good Ranger.
Honestly, there was two movies that had so many characters that were overwhelming for me as far as classes go. I don't want to step on anybody's shit, but it was Neverending Story and Muppets Take Manhattan.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out where to put people, so I just skipped them all. But yeah, Greg has Atreyu. Nate, what are you regretting right now?
I regret not picking a super girl as an option.
Yeah.
It's literally a super girl. All the normal girls remain on the board. The super girl is gone.
I couldn't figure out, I guess I'm like DC in this way. I couldn't figure out exactly how to utilize her. And then Wizard, at first I was like, I don't know if I buy it. But the more we talked about it, the more it's like, yeah, that is basically like a build of wizards, especially in classic D&D where concentration spells were a little bit different. Like, wizards would just like amp themselves up full of fucking spells and then just be all over the place doing everything. And that's exactly what Supergirl does.
Yeah, there's this part of most Superman lore, like most stories of like, I could do this as well. And that reminded me of like, yeah, I can read this book and do this spell.
That's so true. Like, when you are a wizard, it's like all of D&D opens up for you, and you're just like, yeah, what do I want to do, man? Like, wizards can do all the stuff. It's like it's DM2. Like, it's the other guy that helps run the game.
I feel like this is similar. I feel like I could bring this up now. My wife is doing a sort of Julia story where she goes through the Julia Child cookbook, and every page she reads opens up 12 more pages of cooking. I feel like that's a wizard. I feel like Julia Child might be our most real life wizard.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I think of wizards, I think of the part where in Lord of the Rings where Gandalf is like, Frodo, I got to figure out what the fuck's going on. And then he goes, and in the movie, it's like 6 months of research, but in the book, it's like 3 years of research. Maybe even longer. Maybe it's like 20 years or something.
I think it's literally like 10 years.
He like disappears into Minas Tirith's like libraries, and he's like going to shelves that have now been looked at for years. Like, that sort of deep research stuff, that is like the dorkiest wizard stuff that I think is really fun.
But it's scaffolding. So like everything I learn at the beginning is like 7 lessons that will help me in the future, and then exponentially.
Yeah.
Is Gandalf in this learning time? Is he like going to dorm parties? Is he like going to frats? Is he drinking out of kegs?
I mean, he's like studying a forgotten language. He's like rediscovering historians that like ages have forgotten. It's like it's real like academic heroism, and it's a fun idea.
And he's smoking that Zaw.
Yeah, dude, he is way gone off that.
Well, he's in college.
Yeah. And he's got the best part, my single favorite thing about the Gandalf from the Peter Jackson movies is that he's got those like his sleeves are also kind of like gloves under his robe. He's got like an undershirt or like long underwear that's like kind of like his sleeves end in little gloves. That's so cool.
Okay, so I wasn't going to take a break, but we have to think about all that Greg said. Also, I saw a sweatshirt for Lord of the Rings Season 2. What's it called?
Rings of Power.
And the sweatshirt did a thing where it said ENT on the way down. So is this all about
your nose and throat?
The ants are coming, dude. Don't fuck
All right, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, no more Lord of the Rings. All right, Nate, last week we talked a lot about how you might have some steam to pick up. We gotta get some muscle in this fight. So are you thinking more about who is your soldier or what is the class you need to cover?
I am thinking more about classes and how to fit some energy and maybe some firepower into these classes, because I kind of made my list a little too soft, I think. So I'm gonna harden this up in a way. You know, we're gonna put a little blue pill on this list I got going here, and see if it goes longer than 3 hours. We'll call a doctor.
Your team sounds like an English pub name. The Mermaid and the Doctor.
Yeah. I will be opening a hipster bar restaurant, gastropub situation, and will be closed in 3 months.
All right, who you got?
I am going to go with the character Alex Rogan, who is the titular Last Starfighter from the movie The Last Starfighter.
Okay.
In my wizard spot, because he is a arcade game wizard who learns how to fly a spaceship by playing the shit out of some video games until aliens say, "You're our savior. Bring peace to our universe."
Now, in the 1984 intro, I only had Greg and Mike to talk to, and Taylor and Nate, you know that how awful that is for me. Is this just like let's take Ender's Game but make it less racist and sexist and fun? Is that all The Last Starfighter is?
Yeah, basically. The Last Starfighter rules.
It's a really good movie. It's a weirdly formative part of my life that I think I watched this dozens upon dozens of times.
Yeah.
The sidekick guy, Grig.
Grig.
Oh, Greg.
Yeah. That's how people from New Zealand say my name.
Yeah.
Hey, Grig.
Grig.
Fuck off, Grig.
But what is a movie that people want in 1984 more than some arcade playing dork is the hero of the galaxy, right? Like, I don't know. Could this be Nate's captain of his team? Is that too much to say?
I think it's a perfect captain.
It could be.
He could be my captain. I might have another captain coming down the pipe here.
Yeah, based on the characters that we have, most groups are probably going to be run by the ranger, I would think. From if we have rogue, ranger, druid, wizard, cleric. Wizards are always so powerful and they can do like anything, but they're like always a little cracked. You know, they're never like good at staying on task.
All right, Tay, you're up.
All right, I am going to follow in Nate's footsteps a little bit, and I'm also going to take my wizard. And for my wizard, I'm going to take Inspector Gadget. Someone who they're using a lot of their brain power. He's got to be inspecting. He's got to be looking for clues, doing the research. But also, he's got just a bunch of little. He's got. I'll say it. Gadgets. He's got gizmos. he's got every cantrip you could imagine. Yeah. Just sort of at his disposal. He's sort of got the. He is a man built with science.
And the idea that, like, he doesn't actually solve his cases, but without him knowing, like some force solves the cases for him. That feels very like Unseen Servant or like Wizard's Apprentice or something like that.
And right now what we're doing is Master Splinter in a room. This is Taylor's team. Saying Terminator meet Inspector Gadget, and the two of them eyeing each other up, and like this, the similarities and differences are crazy. Now I have a question. Greg, when he picked Atreyu, got Falcor. Does Taylor get Penny and that dog and the people who were actually responsible for solving every single crime? That
I say
Inspector
yes.
Gadget-
You can't. There's no extracting Inspector Gadget. I mean, I think he gets the car as well. Which was like kind of like a lookalike for like the 350Z, but I think he gets the whole thing because Inspector Gadget is literally nothing without Penny. Like that would be like taking away his magic power if he didn't have her.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he still does have the gadgets, but he sort of does.
But he sucks so hard with those
he's
gadgets,
a moron,
Taylor.
dude. Like,
no matter
he
like
is,
what
like-
he's trying to do, he does like the opposite. The
He's
only
like,
thing
what
that
if
works for
Rowan
him is
Atkinson
Penny.
got hit in the head?
Yeah. And that's the energy that I need to bring onto my team.
Also, remember
know
how
what-
Penny had an iPad?
Yeah, no,
And then that
she
really
invented
became
the
a
iPad
thing?
for sure.
The dog's name is Brain, also,
Of
to
course.
indicate what is missing from.
Because IG ain't got one. It is like the cartoon is truly like, what if Bond was the worst person in the entire company, and like Q and M, that's what we relied on.
You know what I just realized? Wallace and Gromit is like, what if instead of being an inspector, he was just a normal guy and Penny wasn't around? Wallace and Gromit basically are Inspector Gadget and Brain.
That's
Think about
honestly
that,
true.
America.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
All right, I'm up next, and I am going to pick my cleric. What is cleric again?
Priest communes with God,
Priest or healer.
healing.
Yeah, healer, any of those things.
Oh boy, I think I can do this. My cleric, who communes with God, but also travels through godlike ways. And how do gods travel? Through nightmares, and they become the god of dreams.
I like it.
They become, what controls you most is that, like, what are you praying to? Praying is not just about like what do you want, but what do you don't want, and what do you not want is Freddy fucking Krueger.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it. I was thinking maybe wizard with this one, but I think cleric is a
Yeah.
really good choice.
I think Freddy could fit quite a few places on this
Freddy
list,
could be a rogue
actually.
pretty easily, too.
Yeah, I had him as rogue. I had him as like maybe like a ranger if you think about the dreams as his like sort of domain.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
which it
long
is.
range attack, but I wrote him down as dark druid of dreams.
Ooh, I like that too.
Oh,
Like that's the D&D.
That's literally his element that he controls.
Connection.
So, yeah, it tracks.
But I already have a druid, so I'm gonna put him in cleric as this fucking Edward Scissorhands, but like Bernie face guy who I do think is going to rain terror on.
Taylor, you're one of our experts on horror. I have to watch this movie this year. Is it going to spook me? Am I going to get spooked?
I think you'll maybe be a little bit spooked, but I think Freddy, especially in Nightmare, is a little bit more on the like. It's a little bit more on the fun side. Like Freddy is Freddy is like tormenting, and like it is still like I wouldn't want this to happen to me, but it's like a lot more in the like this is a very interesting and fucked up thing for someone to do to you in your dreams.
It's such a cool movie. Like it's such a well-made movie.
Yes.
That, like,
Yeah.
that's what you'll pay attention to more than the hee-hees and the hoo-hoos.
That's cool.
Yeah, all right, so that's my cleric. And now I need a ranger and a rogue. And I think that for my rogue, I have no choice but to go with
Wait, isn't it my turn though?
Yeah, wait, hold on now.
Oh, sorry.
Are we
Greg
doing a whole
goes twice.
draft order thing here?
I apologize.
I have to say, the one thing I am realizing I messed up on was I was so into the idea of making sure my guys fit their categories that I'm like, okay, wait, no, they're squaring off, and now I'm. Ryan, your team is so super powered, and then right behind that,
Yeah.
Taylor's team basically has Terminator, and then it doesn't matter who else is on because that dude terminates. So let's see. Okay, here's what I'm going to do for sure. When I think of like a priest figure from 1984, there is no joke that I am primarily, or I am first thinking of the like voodoo priest guy from Temple of Doom who rips a dude's heart out. Probably extremely racist, and I'm not even sure against who. I watched that particular scene today, and I couldn't tell the nationality of anybody, but I was like, this is not appropriate for
this is offensive, and I just need to figure out to who.
Yes.
Well, I think that's part of the racism is that, like, you know, that whole Top Gun thing of like, we're not going to announce who the villain is. Temple of Doom has this way of like, no, all brown people. Like, we want to attack all of them in this one umbrella.
And I mean, I think part of it is because literally all the characters are played by actors just of like different like races from each other and everything, and it's just like, yeah, you know, it's like almost like an H.P. Lovecraft style, like, and then all the other races are being so creepy. But still, having said that, I do like. I'm like afraid of this guy from when I was a kid because I saw him rip someone's heart out. And then let's see. Okay, feel free to just like tell me to go absolutely fuck myself on this one.
Kick rocks, Greg.
There is, for my wizard, I would like to choose Akira the Wizard. That's just his name. Okay, he's from the movie Conan the Destroyer. Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer. There's these Conan the Barbarian's okay. Conan the Destroyer is not that great, but the world building of them I think is really fun. Like barbarian stories, sword and board like movies are just always fun. And I think the Conan ones have some weird ideas. Akira the Wizard is like, there's a lot of it of being like, is this guy actually a wizard? He doesn't often successfully cast spells, but he does in key moments. He's able to at one point use his magic to like close a door, and he also he communes. He's kind of warlock-ish in that he communes with like dark spirits, but he is a self-professed wizard, and also kind of cool is he went on to be the actor that portrayed him went on to be a voice actor who was Uncle Iroh in Avatar.
Oh, yeah.
And Akuma, I think, in Samurai Jack. And so I think it's kind of cool that, you know, and he's doing that same voice in Conan the Destroyer. And he does have some magic powers, so he's no fucking Supergirl. But, you know, not many people are, Ryan.
And he's a wizard, yes?
He is a wizard, yes. Akira the Wizard as my wizard.
As the wizard.
I mean, it's right there in his name. I'm going to take one more pick, and then we're going to go on break. And I think, man, I tried to cheat. I tried to cut Greg out of his picks to get Indiana Jones as my rogue.
Ooh.
But, like, do you guys realize that Indiana Jones is awful at his job? Like, that would have brought my team down a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, yeah. Like
he sucks at shit.
He gets by on luck quite a bit.
It's like when Jubilee is helping to like fight the Sentinels, and it's like three of the most powerful people to ever live, and then Jubilee's like, bling! I did bright lights.
Pew!
Did I do it? I'm going to go with my rogue. I'm going to go with Buckaroo Banzai.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Across the 8.5 dimension.
Our first rogue. We all pushed rogue until pretty late in the draft.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna snipe my last rogue pick. I think that we maybe all took rogue quite different directions. But we'll see.
There's a lot there. You know, I mean, at its core, rogue can be a spy, an assassin, or a thief. And so that's like, you know, those are different directions to go.
But like, this is where like he's sort of like the Elvis, right? Like the who's the coolest person you can think of? The Rivers Cuomo, if you will, of the team. And I don't know is Buckaroo pulling the strings for Paul Atreides, or is Paul Atreides pulling the strings for Buckaroo? That's sort of the drama that's going on with my team right now.
I think that it appears on the surface that Buckaroo Banzai is pulling the strings, but that's just because that's part of the feint within the feint that Paul Atreides has set up, because that's like he does that reflexively.
God, they're both so. My team is fucking cool, guys. My team wears leather jackets and sunglasses when it's night. We're gonna take a break, and when we come back, the last of the picks. All right, Taylor, what do we have left? What are we looking at?
All right, so I have my cleric and my rogue still to go. And I am going to fill my cleric because I think this is the one that is most likely to still get sniped somehow. So my cleric is going to be... Now, I'll just ask the question, and you guys can tell me no, and I can shift focus. Can I just have all the Ghostbusters? Or do I have to pick just one of the Ghostbusters? Because, I mean, if I'm thinking a cleric, people who literally go and fight the undead and banish them from this earthly realm, that's like part and parcel of it.
You can have one, and you have to pick
most clerical one.
Then in that case, I'm picking Venkman. We're taking Bill Murray for that.
And also, don't you only want one because then there's no chance to cross the streams?
Yeah,
that's you know what?
True.
You make such a good point. So yeah, listen, fine then. I'm only taking one. I'm taking Venkman from the Ghostbusters. But yeah,
it's a good pick too because isn't Venkman the one who says if someone asks you if you're a god, you say you're a god?
Yeah. Just say
very
you're
clerical awareness.
Yeah, so I mean I feel like he's got the best touch, and they are literally fighting the undead, banishing spirits. That's such a fucking cleric thing to do. So I think it just makes sense.
Ripping tablecloths off the table. The flowers are still standing. It's amazing. Nate, this is the completion of your team. You have Madison from Splash, Alex from The Last Starfighter, and Bones?
Yeah.
Dr. McCoy from
Star Trek.
Yeah.
Dr.
Not
McCoy.
Zoe Deschanel's sister. Okay.
No, yeah.
Come on, both.
I'm gonna get. I just close it out now. So my ranger choice is going to be a guy who was born in Detroit, wears a Detroit Tigers hat, and becomes a cop in Hawaii. No, I'm not going for Axel Foley, Ryan. I'm actually going for Thomas Magnum, but Axel Foley would work too. They're similarly good.
Magnum Pie.
Yeah. Magnum Pie.
Corvette? What did you drive?
Ferrari Testarossa.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
Is that different than the
very
Lamborghini
short
Countach?
Oh, it was similar to a Lamborghini Countach. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, mustaches covered, so you got that.
He's protecting his upper lip from the elements, as a ranger would. And then for...
I was going to say that's a really good ranger.
Yeah.
I really respect that pick.
And then for my rogue, I'm going to go with the spy element and grab a little mogwai named Gizmo from Gremlin.
I love that.
Hell yeah.
He also, at least in the sequel, wields a bow and arrow.
Yeah, he does.
Fires a flaming arrow into his enemies, but he spends a lot of time.
He goes like full on Rambo
watching and
3.
waiting.
As if he was one Rambo. But I do have to ask Nate or your captain, who is, let's say, Magnum, are you going to, like, pour water on him to win a fight? Are you going to feed him after midnight in order to win a fight?
I think it depends how desperate things get, but yeah,
Christ.
Why not?
You've got a mermaid and a mogwai. That's dangerous, dude. Dangerous combo there.
All right, Taylor. You have the Terminator, Master Splinter, Inspector Gadget, and Peter Venkman Ghostbuster. What is your final pick?
Well, fellas, I know often we sort of get a little laser focused on the U.S. market for a lot of these, but I like to think globally. And so in 1984, there was a little guy making a little bit of a splash across the pond, if you will. Fellas, for my rogue, I'm taking Goku. And I want to be clear. 1984. That is when Goku debuted. I want to be clear because it's 84. We're sticking to 84. This is child Goku. He's still got the tail. He's a little scamp, and that's why I think he fits into the rogue category. He's still very much following in the footsteps of like the Monkey King, like mythos from like Chinese legend. But yeah, he's got some little gizmos. He's got an extendable staff. He's got his little cloud that he rides around on. He's always getting into scrapes, getting into scrumps. And he's just a little fast little guy who doesn't know nothing. And so I think Goku.
Taylor,
he's gonna.
Is it too late? I'm very late to anime, but I'm very into it. Is it too late to do Dragon Ball for me? Just give it up.
You know what? I'm gonna say no, because they have the Dragon Ball Z. Well, you can do Dragon Ball. Watch, the little bits of the guy, then jump into Dragon Ball Z Kai. It's abridged, it's shorter. They took out all the fluff and the filler.
Ooh.
I recently went back to it. It's great. I'd say give it a shot. It's a fun little adventure.
I love that for me.
Shout out to Dragon Ball. Shout out to Goku. Shout out to Vegeta. Shout out to Bulma. Shout out to Master Roshi. Shout out to Krillin. Above all, we got to respect our boy Krillin.
I think the biggest problem with Goku is that he rolls deep, and so Taylor has to do 17 shout-outs every time Goku comes on. And Taylor, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is something that I had learned from my high school students about. Like, is he as powerful as Superman, Supergirl, Thor? Like,
it's if we're talking adult Goku can wipe the fucking floor with Superman. Kid Goku, not nearly there, but still, I think could get into some scrapes.
All right, I'm up, and I have a request. I would like to move Buckaroo Banzai to my Ranger.
I think I will allow it.
We're late in the night, so if you guys disagree, that's totally fine.
I say yes. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Buckaroo Banzai ventures into the fifth dimension. Is that title?
Eighth and a half.
Eighth and a half dimension. Yeah, that's definitely leaving where he stays to range into another spot.
All right, so I'm gonna thank you guys for that so much, and I'm gonna pick as my rogue. Let me go over this real quick, see if he's taken. Anybody from the movie taken? I'm going to pick Jason Voorhees as my rogue, as my sneak up and fucking stab the shit out of your ass right now.
Yeah. That's honestly such a good rogue.
He does move silently somehow, and he's always where you least expect him.
Because he's not like Michael Myers in that, like, oh my God, he's chasing us, and then look down the street and he's still like a mile away, but he's so close. Jason's always like, oh, we're in the clear. Ah!
It eventually becomes like a bit within the movies that he just sort of has teleportation power. Like the instant you're not looking at him, he's going to be where he needs to be to stab you.
And you guys know that if all of your friends were scared of Jason Voorhees, you would buy that old school 1950s hockey mask and just do it anyway, right? Like, be around every corner. So that's my rogue. Just a guy with a machete or a mom with a machete. What year is this? Is this the mom year?
No,
that's such a good question.
I feel like they were pretty deep into the Friday the 13th by this point.
All right. Well, that's my rogue. Greg.
Okay, so I am left Mr. Irrelevant here. For my rogue, a thief is like the first thing I think of when I think of a rogue. And so I am going to choose the thief that we've already covered on this season of Movie of the Year, and I'm going to pick Repo Man himself. From the hit movie Repo Man. His job is to sneak up and repossess cars, all while learning about life. And so, yeah, because of his thievery, I'm gonna pick Repo Man.
Plus, gets to go into the sky as the Jesus figure of that movie.
The life of a Repo Man. It's very intense, Ryan. He was that actor that said that. It was in Conan the Destroyer. Fun fact.
Look at that, 1984. When we come back, we're going to run the numbers and see who will win this ultimate battle. All right, let's start with Nate's team. Nate, you had the first pick. Let's have you go over it.
Yeah, my rogue is Gizmo from the Gremlins. I have Magnum PI for my ranger. I have Madison the mermaid from Splash as my druid. I have Alex, the video game playing space savior from The Last Starfighter, and I have Dr. Bones McCoy from Star Trek 3 as my cleric.
Gentlemen, your thoughts?
I think that the team got stronger. I think you're going to have to rely on the fact that you can make more gremlins using the combo of Madison from Splash and Gizmo.
A little bit of a Zerg rush.
Yeah.
I think you've got, like, honestly, a lot of organization and like strategy on your team. Like, I think that's an area where you probably excel more than maybe any of our other teams.
You also have the only healing cleric.
Yeah, honestly, what I'm doing, like, when the battle starts, what I'm doing is, and no offense, Nate, but, like, I am ignoring Greg and Taylor, and I'm rushing over to you and saying, will you just be part of Team Ryan? Like, will you be the support? Because, like, I think that with your people, we could accomplish so much.
I could see Paul Atreides doing that, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that as your team is, you're fucked. Let's go to Taylor. Taylor, who you got?
Yeah, for my rogue, I've got Goku from Dragon Ball, and specifically Child Goku. For Ranger, I've got Terminator from Terminator. For Druid, I've got Master Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. For Wizard, I've got Inspector Gadget. And for Cleric, I've got Peter Venkman from the Ghostbusters.
Gentlemen, what do we think?
Strong. I mean, the Goku, Terminator, Venkman combination. Keep in mind, you don't, like, a person doesn't want to be zapped with one of these proton packs either.
It's a nuclear reactor.
Yeah.
On your back. It's pretty scary. Plus, Inspector Gadget has a lot of ability to distract, if not being directly effective. There's a whole lot going on.
We've talked a billion times, and we haven't even done this episode yet, that William Atherton is the good guy of the film Ghostbusters. Like, there is nuclear power on this team. Will they spend it right? Also,
I mean, from what I gather of the most recent Ghostbusters movie that comes out, they, like, let out all the ghosts that they ever capture. So it's like, well, fuck, did you do anything if you just stored them until they escaped again?
Because recidivism, like ghost recidivism, is like a huge problem. Are we worried about, like, the whole Splinter is like the leader, but, like, Venkman doesn't like leaders and Gadget's too dumb for leaders and Terminator doesn't have, like, is that a thing?
Yeah, you've got, like, a leader and then no actual, like, followers.
Yeah, I think team cohesion is going to be a sticking point because Goku's not paying attention, let's be honest. And yeah, Venkman is flinching. Inspector Gadget is just a lost cause, and Terminator's sort of doing his own thing. So I think, like, we've got some clubhouse issues to work out.
You know what's interesting though? Freddy Krueger is literally a ghost, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
So against Ryan's team, which is probably our number one seed, you've actually got a little counter there.
My biggest fear with Taylor's team is that Venkman will, like, have an opportunity to do something, but he will choose to instead look at the camera and say something smarmy instead of, like, handling the situation.
Yeah, he'll be hitting on Madison or Supergirl pretty frequently. And it might work out, though, because for Venkman it works out.
My team, my rogue is Jason Voorhees, my ranger is Buckaroo Banzai, my druid is Paul Atreides, my wizard is Supergirl, and my cleric is Freddy Krueger. Gentlemen, discuss.
There's a tough team to counter.
Yeah.
When
I think Supergirl is the obvious, like, that's your heavy hitter here. But I think even if you took Supergirl out, this is a strong team. Like, Jason, Paul, Freddy, you've got, like, Jason and Freddy alone are, like, supernatural level, like, forces of evil.
If they get along, often they're versus. Yeah.
It's a versus scenario.
Oh, yeah.
And no matter who wins, we all lose.
That's true.
Intra-team tension.
But I'm thinking that Paul... Sorry. it's your time to talk, guys.
Oh, I think that's the only drawback I think would be if those two guys start fighting each other. When they fight, though, like does Freddy have to wait until Jason goes to sleep?
Yes, that is a part of like Freddy versus Jason. Is like Jason has to like be falling asleep for.
Because I never thought of Jason Voorhees as like being like, you know what, I'm gonna knock off for a couple hours.
Although, and then they figure out a way to make it like, oh, Freddy figured out a way to get back into the real world so that they can like fight or whatever. But it's still like very like, yeah, it's a very silly fight that they have.
Is there a Jason Voorhees that kicks the shit out of both of them?
That would be pretty cool.
All right, Greg, what's your team?
Okay, so my rogue is Emilio Estevez from Repo Man. My ranger is Atreyu riding Falcor, which I just mentioned. My druid is Soundwave and all his little creatures. My wizard is Akiro the wizard, and my cleric is that priest guy that rips people's hearts out. Which there's not really any healing on my team. Although actually Akira the Wizard seems to at one point bring Conan the Destroyer back from the dead in a scene that very closely mirrors when Khal Drogo is brought back from the dead in the Game of Thrones books, which I thought was kind of interesting. I'm excited about Atreyu and Falcor's dragon, but I gotta say I'm between your team and Taylor's team, Ryan. I don't know.
I think your big strength is that Soundwave kind of is hard for anybody here to kill, other than maybe Supergirl.
Yeah.
Like your horror one, robots don't have to sleep, so Freddy's out.
Okay,
and I don't know. Jason can stab a robot all he wants. It's not necessarily going to end it.
Yeah.
So it's really Terminator versus Soundwave at a certain point.
Yeah, and I think Soundwave like on a 1-to-1. I think Soundwave wins that.
I have to say it's not totally clear to me. Even though I've watched a lot of the cartoons, like what size Soundwave is relative to humans. Because sometimes humans stand next to Transformers and the Transformers tower over them. But this guy turns into a boombox.
Yeah, sometimes I get Soundwave, who is like one of the most powerful villains of our time, confused with the thing that Kevin McAllister used in Home Alone 2, the Talk Boy. All right, so let's go around. You cannot vote for yourself. Nate, who's winning this battle?
Ryan, I think you're winning this battle.
Taylor?
Ryan, I think you are winning this battle, yeah.
Greg?
Yeah, your weakest guy is someone that can travel between dimensions.
Yeah.
And I was going to pick Taylor, but it doesn't matter. That's the power of being host. Points to all of you guys. Points.
Woo!
That is the 1984 action draft. That's how much fun it is to play with action figures, guys. Don't play with them. Pod about them. Mm-hmm. That's how we do it. For Nate. Nate, tell me about your podcast.
I host a podcast called Debut Buddies. It's a fortnightly podcast about firsts. We talk about the first things of various conceits, books, movies, and we make up ways to make sequels and other things that don't make sense make sense. It's great. Listen to it.
I will find it endlessly funny. Taylor, tell us about where we can find you.
I'm online. I'm on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. I'll talk about running or whatever the fuck I'm doing at the moment.
Greg, any other podcasts we should listen to?
You could listen to Superhero Hour?
Show.
Superhero Show?
That's our show tonight. Thank you so much. That is Nate. That is Taylor. That is Greg. My name is Ryan. And please keep playing with those action figures.